Okay, more on foreclosures. Now, I'm a social philosopher, which means I observe things, and to some extent I participate when I can because I'm also a citizen. You know, my social philosophy thing is a kind of a hobby, and I remain a citizen in the United States, and I have a point of view, and I can contribute that point of view. And one of the things I'm doing with these videos is playing my citizen part. And my citizen part, who's also a philosopher, says, notice what's going on here. Notice that the American people are in rebellion against what moneyed people have forced on us as a way of life. On my YouTube channel, you'll find a whole section devoted to the Second American Revolution. And it goes through a whole bunch of stuff explaining various things that need to go on in order for us to have a revolution of ideas. And that's exactly what we got. We don't need to burn the house down or blow it up or run around and have a riot and wreck each other. But we do need massive economic disobedience, which is a refusal to consent. And the more organized that gets, the more powerful it's going to be. You know, when I talked about unemployment recently, one of the things I said, okay, there you are, you sitting around doing what? Well, don't sit around. Get involved in politics. Organize. Solve problems. The Katrina lesson is government is incapable of helping us. We have to help ourselves. Okay? Now let's go over this thing about the law again, because it's worth really coming to understanding about. What is law? Now, when I went to law school, gosh, the very first day, the law is defined as the least socially acceptable standard. Not the highest standard, not the most moral standard, the least socially acceptable standard. And of course, it makes a lot of difference who gets to define it. Well, what's happened? Well, the banks got frisky. And they got a lot of help from the idiots in the Republican Party and the Democrats in that party that went along with it too. Both parties cooperated in the dismantling of our financial system. But the banks and the financial interests went out specifically and took away all the rules that were established after the Depression to control their excess risk-taking. And they went out and they took risks. And they made companies, and the companies that sold mortgages went out and basically convinced a lot of people, you know, the aluminum salesman comes around, he's got a great deal, oh, this is a really great deal, I'm going to get you in a house. And of course the person says, oh, I'd really like to have a house. Well, you don't have to have a down payment. You know, you don't have to have a down payment, and by the way, behind your back or in front of you, I'm going to lie about your credit worthiness. Because nobody's paying attention anymore, the rules are off, because we're in the business not of helping you have a house. We're in the business of making money off your incredulity, your inability to recognize that this is not a free lunch. You know? People want to have a house. They think home ownership is a really great thing. Guy comes along and says, if I got a deal for you. And then when all that starts to unwind, who do they blame? Who does the media blame? Who does the government blame? They blame us. The rest of the people, they didn't do anything. Not only did the bankers get to change all the rules and make it possible to really create huge risks in the economic life, as soon as the disaster started to fall on that group of people, they used their power, their good buddy power because, they're all over politics. They're on the boards, they're running this, that, and the other thing, I mean, we just saw that in the oil spill, that the people who were responsible for making the oil companies play by the rules looked the other way, and the oil company didn't pay by the rule, and guess what happened? They broke the thing. Well, the same's already happened in economics, We're supposed to play by the rules. We're supposed to pay our debt. We're supposed to pay these awful mortgages off. We're supposed to do all this stuff. That's the rule they want us to obey. But the rules they're supposed to obey, they went in and changed them. And even then, they didn't obey them. Lots of lying and cheating going on in those big businesses that make all that money. And when push comes to shove and the economy starts to unravel because of the so-called subprime crisis, which really wasn't the crisis, folks. The real crisis was caused, and you can find this on the internet, by the 5 major financial banks trying to corner the market in derivatives. These fake financial instruments which had no value whatsoever, but because the way markets work and you can play with stuff in the market, and that's what these guys want to do. They want to take risks. They want to play in the market. They want to have a great time. They want to really not play by the rules. And now they're going out in the country and they're saying, oh, the Americans should play by the rules anyway. We're going to cheat, lie, and steal. And we're going to cause enormous suffering, or seem to cause it. That's a tricky problem, what's suffering. But we're going to cause enormous troubles for ordinary people. And while they're not getting any help with their bank loans and with their loss of jobs and all the rest of it, we're going to give billions to the banking industry, hundreds of billions, straight from our government, and then the Fed is going to give something like $2 trillion. $1 trillion is 1,000 billion dollars. $1 trillion. $2 trillion to the banks, and then tell Congress, I'm sorry, we don't have to tell you what we did, why we did it, who got it, and what the state of their balance sheet is. Go suck grapes. Is the business community out of control and lawless? You betcha.